Folks! Folks! Man, I must sound like a chihuahua or a dog. Folks! Alright, everybody. Per the request of you all, we are doing a follow-up video today to address conversations regarding the Spider-Man situation, because we've seen Spider-Man collector boxes drop from $1,000 plus tax as of the filming of this video. We are now down to $640 plus tax. So we are experiencing a 35 to 40% price drop in the last couple days. So everybody wants to know, Rudy, what's your opinion? What's going on? Wizards really screwed this up. People are complaining about the art. People are complaining about supposedly AI are in the art. People are complaining that the set is sloppy. People are complaining there's no serialized cards. There is a lot of mud and tacos being thrown around right now. So let's go through it. I'll give you my opinion. And for those of you who don't want to stick around and everything, the short answer to you all is you need to be buying the dip. If you want the Rudy explanation, you don't have to buy from me. You don't have to be a patron of Rudy. You don't have to be 10 years on YouTube like Rudy. But if you want actual, real, long-term, calm advice in this video, anything in the 600s or below is pretty much going to the bottom range. If we're lucky, maybe we see it in the 500s, maybe for a day or two, I don't know. But anything in the 500-600s is starting to feel extremely attractive. And my advice to you all out there, if you are a serious player or collector or a long-term investor in Magic and sealed product, you're dealing with a very unique collector box with a lower print run than Final Fantasy? No. Then Edge of Eternities. And essentially the market is being very distorted. So that's the short answer. For those of you who want to have a long-form conversation now, let's do this. So first, we talked about in this channel in the last 30 days, my concern about Spider-Man was when we found out there was supposedly, no serialized cards in the set. So we saw our first Universes Beyond thing, because I don't think, and I think you guys verified that, between Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who's, Fallout's, Assassin's Creed, I don't think there's any other Universes Beyond product without serialized cards. Again, mind-blowing how stupid this company can be sometimes at the corporate level. I'm assuming they don't want to overdo serialized cards and dilute the value and uniqueness of it. I don't know. I don't understand it. Some people think they only put serialized cards in sets they feel are going to be weak and they want to kind of prop up the product. But it doesn't make sense. They put it in Final Fantasy. They didn't put it in Edge of Eternities, did they? And then now they're not putting in Spider. It's super weird. I'll never understand. But we're not going to rant about that. Markets always operate on the rubber band theory. For those of you who have not been on this YouTube channel for longer than a year, I'll remind you all the Rudy rubber band theory. And that is when you take a rubber band, the harder you pull up, the more resistance you're going to have to revert backwards to its natural state. And the more you pull down, the more it wants to pull back up to its natural state. Usually the true value of a product is somewhere in between the overpriced number and, of course, the number that's way below it. That's usually where the real answer is. So markets are always going to overshoot things. Okay, so understand that right up front. Markets, when Spider-Man popped to 1,000, it's because of the Final Fantasy, the Edge of Eternities, the bull market, the crypto, the Bitcoin, Ethereum all-time high, and of course, I guess the government and the Fed's probably going to be cutting rates and money machine could be going burr. We have a lot of outside forces that are pushing on to this collectible world that I've been talking about for 20 years and 10 years on YouTube. And people speculated that the $1,000 Spider-Man collector box, plus actually it was like $1,100 with tax, people were speculating that that was going to be the value because Final Fantasy was making a run to $1,500. And now we're kind of having that calm before the next wave of storm. So now, based on the spoilers and we know what's there, clearly $1,100 with tax on TCG Player was too high for Spider-Man. And now the market's recalibrating downwards. Now, should Spider-Man be 500 to 600 range? It feels more of the correct range to be, but at the same time, now you've got all the idiots on the internet, all the Timmies, all the completely uneducated special humans that are on the internet that are going to say, don't buy, I'm not buying anything unless Spider-Man goes to 200, 300. you're going to start getting the complete morons that are going to come out of the woodwork, and they're going to start spreading their complete specialness seed on the internet. And in my opinion, I would recommend, I'll give you some real Rudy recommendations. These are the times, with the price dipping 30-40% from the high, you should probably be buying the dip. Not from me, I don't have any for sale, but I would recommend from other stores, and even if you have local stores in your area, if they're going to sell you boxes in the 500s or even the 600s, my advice is you should probably take them. I have no idea what release day pricing is going to be. I don't know if it's going to tank to $300-$400 or it's going to go down to $1 like Reddit and Discords and Facebook and Ashley Madison are saying. I don't know if that's true. But you have to play the game of probabilities. And the most probable situation right now is, well, the 500-600 range that you're seeing is probably going to be a bottoming process. Now you're probably saying, oh, well, Rudy's just trying to pump and shield us. My rationale behind the people who actually are smart and want to listen, my rationale is not the pricing, it's not the set, it's not the spoilers, it's not the internet's lovely positivity it spreads. My rationale is because if I'm looking at the market sell-through rate, for the first time in the last 2 months, we had a 30-40% price drop from the spike of $1,000 in Spider-Man. And now, in my last video, I said, folks, it's disappointing that we don't have a serialized special stuff for Marvel. And I also told you guys my other concern was the sell-through rate was not good. Now, the market pulls back and the sell-through rate has skyrocketed. That is where my rationale is coming from, everybody. The fact that we were going, like TCG Player and eBay combined, we're doing like 20 to 30 boxes, maybe 40 boxes a day when the price was $900, $1,000, $1,100. In the last 5 days, now that the box price is in the 600s, we have seen a spike from an average of 30 boxes a day to almost 200 to 300 boxes a day with eBay and TCG combined. That is the data point in which I want to share with you all, because it shows me that no, the internet saying it's a garbage, this and that, it's bad. Yeah, there's truth to it because it doesn't feel like magic. Magic and the whole brand and the history of old people like me saying that doesn't feel like Rudy's magic and old people. It's true. It doesn't feel like the magic from the past that we love. Things are changed. This is the world we're in. I mean, I can cry and be upset about it, but this is just the world we're in. I can't change it. I don't own Hasbro. I would like to. I don't control it. I just, there's nothing we can do. Okay? But based on the data, I told you all, if we have a true bull market, and this isn't a market top and the greatest bubble ever, if we are in a true bull market, there are certain data points and certain perspectives you have to have without using any emotion with this. I have some Pokemon videos coming up after this, which I think is probably going to have some ripples in the market. But anyways, and guess what? Spider-Man collectors drops almost 40%. The sell-through rate quadruples. Now, when I see a price drop and a 400% increase in the amount of people stepping up to buy the product because the price dropped, what do you think that means? Is that just YouTubers and social media people and Secret Wizards employees just pumping the product? Or is there truth to, wow, people really want the product, and now that it's cheaper, people are willing to pay? I know I'm saying $600-$700 is cheaper, but it's just the world we're in. The fact the prices come down, the buyers are stepping up. Now you layer on level 2, the supply is lower than Final Fantasy, and probably around the same as Edge of Eternity's, plus or minus 5%, based on a lower supply. And now based on all of a sudden the sell-through is picking up because the price has dropped. This is not a crash. And it's not going to go to this 1, 2, 3, 400 that these highly just angry people on the internet are all about. You have to really look at the buyer's behaviors. You need to follow the people who are truly have the money and truly want to buy the product. Going on social media and certain platforms that just have people who are complaining and angry of everything, because again, there's a lot of problems and a lot of anger in the world, but that doesn't help us make decisions on a new Magic product. No matter what I feel and you feel, this is all I see is a price drop, and now all of a sudden everybody's rushing to finally buy it when they didn't want to buy it at over 1,000. And is that really a bad thing? Is this really a bad thing? I mean, I kind of told you guys that over 1,000 before release was a little ridiculous, and I wasn't sure if that was sustainable. And then we found out there's no serialized card. Then, of course, people are complaining about the mechanics, the art level, the power level, and all these things, the quality of these different levels in a product, and the price come down. And now, people feel it is worth between that 600 and 700 because that's where a ton of transactions are taking place. So, conclusion of the Spider-Man before we move to the next thing. My advice to you all out there, again, if you're a Rudy patron, I mean, I'm going to sell Spider-Man at release, but it's going to be like one collector box per person. I may even, maybe I'll try a bundle with like a collector box and a couple play boxes. So we just, because, the supply is just, it's abysmal. And based on the situation, you cannot sit back and say, I'm not going to buy unless it goes to pennies on the dollar. And yes, if you had bought at $1,000, see, and I'll mention it. So now, for the hundreds, if not thousands of people who bought Spider-Man at $1,000 a box, guess what? Canceling orders, credit card chargebacks against all these stores, demanding refunds on TCG Player and eBay. Because I told you all, the playing field in this market is not a level, fair playing field. If prices drop, all those buyers come back after all these LGSs, all the TCG Player sellers, all the eBay sellers, and now they're angry, going to demand price adjustments, going to demand refunds, even though they chose to lock into a transaction and a price and a product. Now, of course, if the box price goes higher, the store then wants to cancel the order, and then, of course, the customer's mad at the store. I've told you all for 10 years on this channel, this is why engaging in things like that far in advance is just a lose-lose situation, because one of the two parties is always going to be unhappy because of the calibration of price and expectations are either going to go one way or the other. So someone's going to always be happy and someone's always going to be angry at somebody else. And that's just the way the card world works. It's the way many industries work. So now we're in a situation, unlike the previous few sets when everybody was canceling Final Fantasy orders, well, now all the buyers are now calling LGSs, going back to stores, going on eBay and TCG Player, and requesting refunds. And now all these stores are getting what they thought was their 6 boxes or 20 boxes that they had available, and these stores thought these products were sold. So now all these stores are getting stuck back with the product because all the buyers are angry because the price has changed. So now all these stores are going to start putting their supply back on the market, which of course adds to the downward pressure of pricing. So this is why you have what I call, as you approach release day, and release plus 30 is always the most volatile time. When you watch this video, let's pretend today was release day of Spider-Man. Every time you refresh eBay TCG Player, you're going to see the price move. It will not be the same price from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. to noon to 10 p.m. Throughout the day, you will see 5, 10, 20% price swings in a single day because of the amount of stores listing, orders being canceled by buyers who are angry for being ripped off, stores then having to relist at the new pricing. You're gonna have a lot of tug of war, which is why I tell you all, in the short term, collectibles are unpredictable. We don't know what things are worth. We don't know how things unfold. And that's the world we're in. And I think it's important for people to understand that. I think it's important for people to be fair about that. Hope you all have a good day.